Welcome to Episode 77, Program Management, Part 2, Governance Rhythms and Portfolios. Where the first part focused on strategy, roles, and alignment, this one turns to the day-to-day pulse of how programs operate. Governance rhythms create predictability, recurring cycles that keep strategy alive and visible through execution. Without rhythm, governance becomes a series of disconnected meetings and surprises. When cadence is deliberate, every discussion builds on the last, and every decision ties back to defined priorities. Think of it as the organization's heartbeat, steady, coordinated, and responsive to real change. Predictable rhythms make accountability natural rather than forced. Building on that, annual planning establishes the outer frame within which governance occurs. Annual plans set direction, outline resource assumptions, and define what cannot change easily. They translate strategic intent into funded commitments. For example, an annual plan might dedicate fixed capacity to identity modernization or establish a ceiling for vendor spend. These anchors protect focus when mid-year requests multiply. Constraints, such as headcount limits or regulatory deadlines, must be treated not as obstacles but as design boundaries. A well-scoped annual plan prevents reactive reshuffling, allowing leaders to adjust thoughtfully while still honoring long-term priorities. Monthly reviews deepen the picture by maintaining operational awareness. They're where risks surface early, decisions get recorded, and issues stop festering. A simple, structured agenda, status, risk, decision keeps focus consistent. Documenting these sessions builds the audit trail of accountability that mature programs rely on. When everyone knows that unresolved items will reappear on the next agenda until closed, follow-through becomes second nature. A monthly rhythm also prevents escalation overload by resolving most matters at the working level. Predictable meetings and clear notes demonstrate to both auditors and leadership that governance is an ongoing discipline, not an event. In parallel, a cross-functional council ensures coordination and escalation pathways remain efficient. Such a council brings together representatives from risk, compliance, operations, and business units to resolve issues that cut across domains. Escalation paths clarify when a problem moves from one level to the next, avoiding both micromanagement and paralysis. For instance, a delay in vendor onboarding might first be addressed by procurement, but escalated to the council if it endangers project delivery. Councils work best when participation is stable, agendas are circulated early, and outcomes are logged. They replace chaos with structure while still allowing swift response when it matters most. Complementing councils, a portfolio Kanban gives visibility into intake, triage, and prioritization. A Kanban board, digital or physical, transforms the abstract concept of work into something everyone can see. New requests enter an intake lane, are evaluated for fit and value, then move into active planning only when capacity allows. For example, a proposed vulnerability assessment might wait until prerequisite infrastructure metrics are ready. This visual flow deters overcommitment by exposing bottlenecks. More importantly, it invites conversation. Teams learn to negotiate priorities openly rather than compete behind closed doors, turning transparency into a practical management habit. Once priorities are visible, dependency mapping shows how efforts intersect across teams and providers. Dependencies reveal the unseen threads that tie initiatives together, shared data feeds, common APIs, or vendor timelines. Mapping them prevents surprises that derail delivery at the last moment. Imagine discovering that two initiatives rely on the same patch window or external auditor. Planning then adjusts before conflict arises. Maintaining this map is not just an exercise, it is risk management in visual form. It allows leaders to foresee collisions and adjust scope proactively. Done well, it replaces blame with foresight and smooth execution. From there, effective governance links tightly with change management. Integrating change processes with planning ensures that updates to scope, timing, or funding flow through one coherent path. When teams propose changes outside governance, documentation fragments and institutional memory fades. An integrated model makes every adjustment traceable to its rationale. Suppose a team requests early adoption of a new cloud feature. The change board reviews security impact before approval. This integration respects innovation while protecting stability. Over time, the organization learns that agility and control are not opposites. They are complementary when change is structured and recorded. Supporting all this structure are metrics dashboards designed specifically for governance meetings. Dashboards turn data into discussion starters rather than static reports. They should highlight what requires action, not just what has occurred. Metrics such as project health, risk aging, and resource utilization reveal where attention belongs. When a dashboard shows unresolved findings trending upward, it prompts inquiry rather than blame. Dashboards that are refreshed on a fixed schedule make meetings faster and more objective. They allow governance discussions to pivot from anecdotes to evidence, reinforcing a culture where facts, not personalities, guide direction. Closely related, funding burn, forecast, and variance tracking keep financial stewardship visible. These measures compare what was planned against what is being spent and what remains to be funded. They expose early signs of underuse or overspend, allowing adjustment before crisis. For example, a program noticing faster than expected software license burn can negotiate volume discounts or slow rollout. Transparent variance tracking builds trust with finance partners by showing that accountability is shared. It also helps prevent end-of-year panic spending by forecasting needs months in advance. In short, financial rhythm is as important to governance as security metrics. Over time, lessons learned transform governance from static control to evolving craft. Each cycle, annual, quarterly, or monthly, should produce insights about what worked, what failed, and why. Capturing these lessons drives roadmap adjustments grounded in reality. Suppose a retrospective reveals that approvals bottlenecked at a single reviewer. The next cycle redistributes authority. These small refinements accumulate into agility. The key is to treat reflection not as punishment, but as growth. When lessons learned are routine, improvement becomes part of the rhythm rather than an afterthought tacked on at the end of a crisis. Transparency extends beyond metrics to the decisions themselves. Every major decision should include its rationale, owner, and expected review date. Recording not only outcomes but reasoning prevents confusion months later when circumstances change. For instance, if a tool selection is documented with the risks and trade-offs considered, future leaders can revisit the decision intelligently rather than restart debate. Transparency does not mean overexposure, it means traceability. Well-kept records preserve institutional memory and demonstrate maturity to auditors and partners alike. Over time, this discipline turns documentation from paperwork into a source of organizational learning. To keep everyone informed, communication kits help managers and contributors relay governance outcomes clearly. These kits summarize key decisions, rationales, and upcoming milestones in accessible language. Managers can adapt the content for team briefings or newsletters, ensuring consistent messaging throughout the organization. Imagine a concise slide deck distributed after each governance meeting, highlighting top priorities and upcoming checkpoints. It saves time and reinforces alignment. Communication kits close the loop between governance and daily work, making strategy visible where action occurs. When people understand why a decision was made, commitment follows naturally. In the end, governance that accelerates delivery is deliberate, rhythmic, and transparent. It replaces chaos with cadence and transforms oversight into enabler. A well-tuned governance rhythm connects the long view of strategy with the immediacy of execution. When decisions, metrics, and communication align, programs move faster without losing control. The rhythm itself becomes a form of resilience, steady enough to anchor the organization, flexible enough to absorb change. The outcome is a living governance system that keeps momentum through clarity, communication, and trust. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit DailyCyber.News.